pause again.
Just pause.
Just pause.
Closed session meeting, that was after last meeting we had, and we dealt with labor negotiators, also real property negotiations, and then we also had a closed session item today, labor negotiations, and in all three of those instances, direction was given to staff. We have the agenda for tonight. Does anybody want to make any changes to the agenda? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Oliveira, second by Councilmember Herman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, staff updates. We have a consolidated report in your packet. Are there any questions or comments on the consolidated report from anybody in the public or from the dais?
I have one question, but I don't know whether it goes to PD or to Dave Hannum.
We got them all here.
The bathhouse. Can we somehow elevate that, or is that because they're still open, correct? So is there any way to get that moving forward, or does it all depend on the current investigation?
Part of that is part of the current investigation. As part of the Planning Commission, the Planning Commission is set to review that in October.
Why are we
Their
waiting so
conditional-
long?
Huh?
Why are we waiting so long?
Because there's been a lot of investigation, there's been a lot of information that's, and as part of their project, they have 18 months from the time they get approved to their first review by code. So we've just expanded, we've just gotten past the 18 months review, or the 18 months, and now we're putting all the things together and putting it forth. However,
There's been no conviction at this point, right?
there's been no convictions, at least at this point. We will review their conditions of approval to make sure what has been gone on, because they do have conditions of approval to report. At that point, it'd be up to the commission to make a recommendation of whether or not to revoke the commit, in which case then notices will be sent to the owner, and then, and Derek can correct me if I'm wrong, but then the planning commission, or I don't know if the city council revokes, I'll have to go back and look in the code of who actually, if the permit is, I'm gonna botch this word, put in a position where the permit is to be revoked, that would be up to the planning commission with an appeal to the city council. But we have to do our due diligence first. And at this point, there have been no convictions, at least to our knowledge.
Right, and I'd want to caution us on this. Businesses have employees and managers and owners who do bad things all the time. That doesn't necessarily end the business. It might terminate their employment. It might, a lot of things might happen. So we want to be a little careful about calling for shutting down the doors at this point until we know more. And
Right, and I mean, that's just
We'll act
for
appropriately.
first process, and we'll review the conditions to make sure what conditions, if any have been violated, and then at which point, then the commission has the authority to, either rectify the condition or put additional conditions on the project, or bring it back to them for revoking of the permit. So it's based off the planning commission.
right. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I got a couple little things.
Okay.
Using just a general thing for staff on the consolidated report, a lot of it looks like cut paste month after month after month. I'm wondering if we could start to get some dates in here. This occupancy tax thing, for example, I think goes back to 2015.
And actually what we have, for your credit here, the stuff that is in bold
Yeah,
is new stuff.
okay.
The stuff that is not in bold is stuff brought forward from before. So that's actually what the other council requested, how the previous to you guys. If there's another way to do, I can take, I can put dates, I can change it a little different, but right now what I've continued on with what it was bold is the new staff
Yeah,
updates, but
My new or not, it lacks dates,
Okay.
action plans, expectations about what's going to happen next. So I just thought that would be useful for everybody to see where things are going, rather than just
I will.
a stagnant status.
Sure. That's fine. I will let staff know.
Okay.
And then on the analysis that's done for fire, days a week and all that, is that a big thing for you to put together? I'm wondering what kind of study goes into that and how useful it is for everybody.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long to generate that. Our computer reporting software runs it within a minute or so. It was requested a number of years back to be included in the staff report to show what days were the busiest, what hours were the busiest. If it's not wanted to be in there, we don't have to include
Well, I
that.
Poll the
but-
council to see if that you wanted
That's
to
fine.
continue with that. If it's really easy to do, I guess there's no harm being in there, but
I'd
I
rather,
don't want you doing a lot of work for that.
I'd rather see it monthly than quarterly.
Okay, we
'Cause
can do
every
that.
week, it's kind of hard when you're looking at it weekly to get
Sure.
anything valuable out of it.
Yeah, that's fine. If it's the desire of the council, we can do that.
That's fine.
Monthly.
Monthly?
Monthly? Okay.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Anything else?
I have 2 follow-up questions again with Dave. That's why I want you to go down there. Sit down. 2 questions. Do we know when to expect a presentation from CCWD? Have we talked further about that? If not, that's fine. I'm just curious what the timeline is on that.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be this meeting, we pushed off to
Next
next.
meeting.
Okay, thank you. And then, has there been further discussion about the 4 and 49 truck and parking lane with Caltrans?
Not yet. However, we have another PDT meeting that's coming up at the end of the month, and so we will be discussing it at that meeting. The PDT is the project development team that's made up of all the Caltrans departments that are involved in the PID. So operations, design, environmental, all those, and so we were going to bring it up. I will follow up with Grace to see where we are with that, but that should be on a discussion for our next PDT meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That was
Anything
it.
else? That was it?
Yeah, no, I just wanted an update where that was in
Yeah, no problem.
the timeline.
I have one question, I don't know who to address it to. It's about today's traffic issue from 2 in the morning until this morning that caused problems. Can we get any details on that? I got a couple questions, I don't really know what happened. That,
That's all right, I was there, so, do I have to talk with you?
Yeah.
please.
Sorry, Jody.
Sorry. So this morning we got a call, approximately, I believe it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, that George Reed had a piece of construction equipment. It was about a 30,000-pound, 80,000-pound gigantic asphalt machine of some sort that it was driving on the west side then in the annex there, and it weighed so much that it actually gave way to the hillside. So the piece of equipment started to slide down the hillside towards a house, or a power pole. It actually, between landing on its axles and the power pole, had stopped it from rolling down into someone's house. So we were able to evacuate the homeowners. Sam Berry came with a couple semi-trucks and actually was able to get it back up on the roadway. That whole side's kind of has to be fixed by George Reed, which we've got a report and everything going for an accident report on that. They were able to get the machine. It took probably a good hour before we could get that up. Meanwhile, they had a bunch of asphalt fall on the other passing lane that they were using, so they had to get that all cleared before they could open up the roadway. So CHP gave them, I'm not quite sure how that all works, but they have a timeline to where they have to have the highway open before it becomes a state issue. I believe that CHP had taken over after that to deal with that aspect of it, because it didn't look like the highway was going to be open before their period of time is, which I don't know what that is.
So what time did it open?
You know what, I don't know
about 9.
exactly, but it was
It's about
after,
9 o'clock.
I heard it was around 7 something. So
It was 9.
It was
Was it
close to
9?
9,
So
yeah.
CHP showed up there at about 5:30 and took over. And they deal with the whole state part, because once you close a highway for a certain period of time, it becomes a big issue.
And there's really no appropriate detour.
That was
All the
the
way back to Parents
craziest.
Ferry Road, or?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
sent them down Red Hill,
Yeah.
or they could go back up to Parrots Ferry and back around. Otherwise, there was nothing. It was one of those, we showed up and just looked at this incredibly large piece of equipment and the houses that were about to be involved, and it was quite an issue.
Wow.
They all kind of looked at each other and went, all right, well, let's figure it out. So,
Okay.
so anyway, they were safely pulled off, but that's what all that was all about.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And then what about all the asphalt that was all downtown, all the way up to the Blue Church?
I never saw
Yeah,
it.
there's asphalt all over.
There's asphalt
Main.
everywhere
They picked it up.
this morning.
Chunks.
Is it gone
That
now?
may have been caused because the asphalt trucks then all backed up because they couldn't get, once that huge piece of machinery blocked the roadway, they had, when I left the scene at about 5:15,
Jody.
there was asphalt trucks completely lined up, ready to go through. So I don't know if it's how those things work, if they were leaking it.
Okay.
But George Reed is the one that's the contractor for that, who will need to get all this all fixed up.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
Yeah, on the complaint log, South Main Street safety issues, can that be blown out a little bit? What are safety issues? Is that Dave?
Dave or Dave?
Dave or Dave?
Mary, I don't have that one in front of me. It's on South
There's a
Main.
list,
You know, I
list of safety
I
issues.
personally don't need an
under-
answer right now, but
Okay.
my suggestion was, could we just put a little bit more narrative in there and then
Sure.
safety issues? Because that just made me say, well, what are they?
Okay,
Some of the other things, you know, it's weed behind the house, and it's a
Right.
little more clear what it is.
sure, we can expand on that. Not a problem.
All right.
Okay.
I think, yeah, okay. It's all the same.
Okay.
I have something for, if you guys are all done. Staff received an email from Kathleen O'Grady, who lives on West Street, whose house was involved with the fire on Sunday, and she asked me to read this in. I'm going to have Susan read this in, this email that she sent me today regarding the work of fire.
Dear Ms. Kelly, I am writing to you to express my sincerest appreciation to the Angels Camp Fire Department, who saved my home last Sunday afternoon. There is no way that I can thank them enough, but I would like them and you to know how much their work has meant to me. A grass fire started on an adjacent property and quickly spread to mine. Because of the fire department's quick and professional response, the damage to my house was confined to a small amount of damage to my wooden deck. I could have easily lost my whole house, but their actions saved it. Further, I was not in Angels Camp at the time of the fire. When I heard what had happened, I was very alarmed and called the department. It was Sunday, and I didn't know if anyone would answer a non-emergency call. Nathan Pry, the fire marshal, not only answered, but explained exactly what had happened, which was tremendously reassuring to me. When the chips are down, the folks at the fire department are the real deal. I hope they know how much their work means to their community and how much we appreciate them. Yours truly, Kathleen O'Grady.
So I want to thank Nathan
Very
and
nice.
everybody. Great job.
Good job, guys. Okay. Now we'll move on to council updates. Councilmember Matilde.
No updates.
No Vice Mayor Pollendorf.
No updates.
Councilmember Herman.
No updates.
Councilmember Olivera.
No updates.
I got nothing. No report. All right, public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on items not on the agenda. State law prohibits the city council from acting upon matters not listed on the agenda. Is there anybody in the public who'd like to stand up and comment about anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll come back to, looks like we have a presentation by Destination Angels Camp.
You can s-
Feature business presentation is Mr. Mark Degenhart with CMG.
I'm not Mark,
You're not Mark.
no. Mayor B. Hill and council members, I'm Larry Cornish, chairman of the board of the Destination Angels Camp Economic Development Company, or Corporation, and I wanted to present our feature business for the month, and that's CMC, or CMG, excuse me, Incorporated, which is really Mark Degenhart here. And Mark has got a tremendous background in banking and project management back in the Midwest, I believe. and has been out here in Tuolumne County and Calaveras County for a number of months. He joined our advisory council at DAC in May of 2017. He's a member of ACBA. He's a business generalist for the Small Business Association, which is, there's only a few of these generalists in in Calaveras County, and he's a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce our featured business owner, Mark Degenhardt.
Thanks, Larry. Sure. Welcome. Thank you. Well, good evening. Good evening. I'm Mark Degenhardt, and my business is Communications Management Group, and I sincerely want to thank the council and Destination Angels Camp for inviting me to be the featured business. It's a wonderful opportunity to promote and explain my business. I've been up from the Bay Area now almost 8 years, and I spent the last 6.5 over in Tuolumne, and I moved over to Calaveras about 1.5 years ago. And so my office is in Murphy's, right there where the CWA office is also, and I live in Angels Camp. And first thing I want to acknowledge is that when I decided to stop taking projects in the Bay 5 months ago and stopped with internet businesses that I was operating and decided just to build my business right here where I live, because I've decided I really like Calaveras, I really like Angels Camp, and this is where I'm going to stay. And from that moment, because of my background in the peninsula and then back in Kansas City where my dad was the first mayor of our city, I'm used to joining organizations and being a valuable member. And from the minute that I went to the first chamber mixer at Greenhorn, I met Candy Myers, I met Brian Tweaksbury, I met Jock Peel, Nikki Stevens, and a number of others. And within a week, they'd all contacted me. And each one of them in their own way had sat me down and told me about all the other organizations and started introducing me to people. And so I immediately joined Destination Angels Camp, where Debbie Ponte spent a lot of time with me. And ACBA, the members there and the board members just took me in. And again, just such a business-friendly city and organization. And they directed me to the Calaveras Chamber, where they asked me to consider being an SBDC general consultant for new businesses that are looking for assistance. And within the SBDC, they pay me by the hour, and it's free to the new business people. And so far, I've worked with 5 different businesses, and it's really been interesting. There's quite a diversity there. And then CWA, the Calaveras Wine Grape Alliance, Shelby French, and their board welcomed me. And so within all these organizations, they all have open board meetings, which I've been able to attend, which is such an informative way to understand the city and to understand what's really going on within the organizations. And it's been a delight. And I want to thank the city and all those organizations for treating me so well. I've got just a short handout, because in my business, it's project management that I do, but it's twofold. One side is for businesses, so it's business project management, and then the other side is what I call asset issues resolution, which is for individuals and families that have tangible, non-cash assets that they're trying to decide what they want to do with them. It could be because they're downsizing within their home. It could be that they just have these assets that they've been collecting or been acquiring over the years, and they just really don't have a clue what the current market value is or what to do with them, whether to expand or not. So if it's all right, I'd like to hand these out real quick. Sure. Okay. And so the first page is an explanation of the business project management.
Take the pass them out. Yeah, make sure you get folks up there.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Scott. So the first page is on business project management, and it explains it briefly. What I try to do with business owners is to discuss.
Okay.
In the business project management side of my business, which there are just two core project management sides of it, what I try to explain to business owners is that my efforts in talking with them about being a customer of mine is to be able to free them up on their time so that they have more time to focus on their core revenue generating business. So my activities tend to operate on the peripheral side of the business, the extraneous type items. And it could be anything from buying equipment, could be relocating. It could be, as one of my clients that I have right now in the vineyard business, they've been using QuickBooks for 10 years. But they've never taken training or anything along those lines, and their business has grown substantially, and they need more sophisticated reports. And so I went out from between Tuolumne and Calaveras and researched QuickBook experts that are trained by QuickBooks and those type of things, and interviewed and vetted a number of those folks. I think there were 6 of them, and ended up hiring one and, well, bringing one to the client to interview. And so she hired her, which really defines what I do the most of the time for my business clients, is I find their experts. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not a CPA. I understand those aspects of the need for those professionals. And so when a client begins working with me, that's the first thing I try to do, is to understand who the professional service providers are and where they might have gaps and holes and if they need to be filled. Because I work with professionals, I give them the information from my clients, and I take their recommendations and build those into projects. The client chooses a project, which direction she wants to go in or he wants to go in, and then I manage that project to the end and just work myself right out of a job. Anyway, the document that I've given you explains it from a pretty high level. But one of the first determinations I try to reach with business owners is if they understand what their true value is by the hour. And most business owners believe, okay, I'm worth $50, I'm worth $100, I'm worth $125. And I say, okay, well, how do you come up with that? Well, that's because if I consult for other businesses, that's what I charge them, which indicates to me that they're pricing along the lines of their economic environment rather than the value. And so most owners, after I sit down with them and we look at their net profit and the hours and those type of things and do a formulation, it's usually 2 times what they believe their value is. And so with that said, I charge $75 an hour. I bill by the 15-minute increment, and my clients can call me up and say, hey, Mark, I need an hour's worth of research. I need 3 hours here. Or, I need this done. How long do you think it will take me? What will it cost? And so my rate's $75 an hour, and most business owners I deal with are valued at $150 to $400 an hour. So if I can help them with the extraneous projects, could be buying equipment, it could be deciding how to remodel an office. The possibilities really are endless, because businesses are also very different. And so as I say here, I believe everything's a project. So before I move on to the next and final piece of my business, anybody have any questions about the business project management? In business project management right now, within this area, I have 5 clients, and I just finished up with one client that was expanding their business from one business in Copperopolis to another location here in downtown Angels, and really enjoyed that. So with all these organizations welcoming me and allowing me to be in board meetings and learn more about it, that's where I've been able to secure my clients and have more of an opportunity to explain to them what I do. So the second page is a front and back. And the page that I have up for you just describes the business that I coined myself in 2008 down in the Bay Area. And I call it Asset Issues Resolution. And that pertains to individuals and families. As I was saying, a lot of times people have assets. It could be everything from travel trailers to multiple apartments. It could be that they have 3 or 4 vacation homes. It could just be that their home needs to have some work done, or they need to figure out how to generate more income from the assets that they have and turn it into a less non-performing environment. So it's a personal service for busy, smart people with decisions to make. So like in the business side of project management, I spend most of my time bringing experts to bear on the tangible assets that are in question. And so right now I have a client that has some collectibles that they've hired me to figure out what to do with. And so I've gone out within my network that I've met being up here and then also reaching out across the nation to talk to people that are experts about those particular collectibles. And so once I find those people, then I get their recommendations on what to do with the type that we have. Do we sell them? Do we buy more? Sometimes to finish out a set, that's what works. I have a client, I had a client back in the Bay Area that had 7 tangible assets that she needed to deal with after a divorce. One was a rental property that she was partners with some family on. One was a car, her particular house. And we were able to resolve those issues and actually generate her about $175,000 in cash that she thought that she wasn't really going to see. In the divorce, she was left heavy on the asset side, and he took most of the cash. So it was an interesting project. As you can read down, there are a number of different causes of the issues. It could be death, could be divorce, could just be simply downsizing. And when people are left with assets that someone else has put together over the years, a lot of time there's a need just to have somebody come in with expert advice, not from me, but from true experts within it. And then I gather all the information from those experts, from their accountants, from their tax planners, from their financial advisors, from the realtors, and then I'll take all of that information and the research that I've done and present them with anywhere from 2 to 4 different plans. I call them resolution paths. And then they take a look at them, and of course they're always welcome to talk to their experts and to mine to gather more information. And then they choose a path, and then again I project manage that path to keep everything on budget, on time, and work myself out of a job.
Very good.
Any other questions or anything?
How do you ask a guy who does everything? Any questions?
Well, I find people that do everything.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Thanks
Okay.
again.
Thank you. Okay. All right, now we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following consent agenda items are expected to be routine, and they'll be acted upon by the council at one time without discussion. However, any council member, staff member, or interested person may request that any consent items be removed for discussion. Tonight we have 3 items. One is the approval of the regular meeting minutes of July 18th. Another is approval of the regular meeting minutes of August 1st. And finally, the adoption of 17-31 is a resolution approving the temporary closure of Hardscrabble Street. Would anybody like to remove any of those items for discussion? Anybody in the public? Anybody up here? In that case, I'll entertain a motion.
Move.
Second.
We have approval of consent agenda moved by Vice Mayor Follendorf, second by Councilmember Matilde. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Now for a regular agenda item, we have 1 item tonight, and that's a presentation of the services provided by the Calaveras Visitors Bureau. Put on my glasses. Lisa Bolton.
should be okay, I think.
That's not your website?
It is, but it's not loading properly, so
It's all same, yeah.
Just FYI, this presentation is online as well in color, so it's on gocalveras.com. It's much nicer than this black and white copy there. So I'm going to give a PowerPoint presentation if the stuff loads. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, it's, all right. I'm going to do the PDF version. Is there any way of lowering the lights so we can see the visual first? Okay. Calaveras Visitors Bureau. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lisa Bolton, the Executive Director. I've been 5 years now with the Visitors Bureau.
Lisa,
Yes.
this won't be recorded unless you're near the microphone, so if you want to turn it toward you.
You can actually probably maybe hold it.
What's that?
You might be able to hold it, might be easier for you.
All right, I'll do that. So it's important for you to know what the mission statement of the Calaveras Visitors Bureau is. The Calaveras Visitors, I'm just going to read this through. I promise I'm not going to read through every single slide. Calaveras Visitors Bureau is Calaveras County's core tourism promotion organization dedicated to creating long-term and sustainable economic growth for the region and its members through innovative tourism programs, promotions, and partnerships. So we are the destination marketing organization for Calaveras County in general and also, of course, for the City of Angels Camp. An important thing to be aware of about us is that the vast majority of businesses here in Calaveras and Angels Camp are small independent businesses that don't have a marketing budget, and so we're here to do the marketing for them that they wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. So this presentation is going to talk about how we're structured and what we achieved in this last fiscal year. So we're a 501c6 nonprofit organization. We're funded by TOT tax from the City of Angels Camp, from TOT tax from Calaveras County, and from paid membership advertising in the Calaveras Experience Guide, which you have copies of there. We also do some gift shop sales at the Visitor Center. Our total funding for the 2016-17 fiscal year, this is what we actually spent on marketing, was $394,403. That visitor center piece on the graph there does not include the cost of goods sold, so it's actually a much smaller piece as far as actually profiting and paying for the visitor center. So we do a great deal of marketing in-house with our 1 full-time person and 5 part-time staff members. We actually have five people now, Larry. We just hired on 1 more part-time person this at the end of this fiscal year, and she's been amazing. So it was a really good idea to hire her. So our in-house marketing, that is everything that is covered by paying the wages of the people that work in the Visitors Bureau, includes social media. This means we don't outsource any of this part. We do our own social media marketing. We do our own website development. We do our own ad design, print and online. We design the guide, so we do contract with part of that guide design, but we do a lot of it in-house. We do our own promotional giveaways, email marketing, destination blogging, and photography. And in fact, I do a great deal of photography. You'll see later in the presentation that we contracted out for some photography for Calaveras County this year, but we didn't have to include Angels Camp because I'm right in downtown and I'm always taking pictures of the events and the attractions here. So here are the industry stats for 2016. Those are the most recent statistics that we have. You can see that a lot more TOT is generated in Angels Camp, and that's because there are many more lodging properties. But we also receive a smaller percentage of the TOT, so that's why there's a huge discrepancy between the county and the city. So in 2016, tourism generated $385.5 thousand in TOT from county lodging and $1.1 million from Angels Camp TOT. Visitor spending in the county overall was $179.6 million, up 2.5% from 2015. And you can see in the graph that Angels Camp dropped very slightly in 2016, but we had increased by 20% over the previous year. So this just breaks it out into the different tourism types of service. So food service generated $50.7 million, lodging 39.5, retail 24.1, transport 18.2, entertainment and recreation 26.7, and groceries, people buying groceries who are visitors, 13.4 million. Now you might wonder, where do we get this information from? Well, this information is generated by Dean Runyon, Visit California, the state's destination marketing organization that has $100 million to spend on marketing. They generate all of this data from tax collections. So this might be interesting to you because we only have a visitor center in Angels Camp, and so this gives kind of a little micro overview of some of the tourism that's occurring in the county. We only can generate this kind of data on Angels Camp because we're only located here in Angels Camp. If we had visitor centers throughout the county, we could do that too, but we don't have those. And we couldn't afford them either. So in case you don't know this, the visitor center is operated 7 days a week. We provide an individualized concierge service to everybody that comes through the door. So we are very friendly and welcoming. We inquire about what kinds of things people are interested in, and we make recommendations based on that. Since we're in Angels Camp, we always recommend Angels Camp first because they're right here. And of course, so that really helps with the downtown, whatever particular businesses might be open. They get the benefit of that. We also collect data on where the visitors come from. So our top domestic market, not surprisingly, is California. And then those other states. I'm sorry, I'm not American, so I haven't learned them all. No, I'm kidding. I have really. So Washington is next, and then Oregon, then Nevada, then strangely Texas, and then Arizona. And then we can also look at the international market. So we have quite a large number of international tourists that come through. They do make up a small percentage overall, but the United Kingdom is our largest international market, and they're not all my relatives. So then we've got Canada comes next, and then Germany, then Taiwan, Australia, France, Belgium, and the Scandinavian countries. I grouped them all together. And then the rest of the world is 23%. So here you can see a graph that shows you what the growth in visitors into the visitor center has been over the last few years. I actually ran this data initially to try and attract Yummy Haha to come and open an ice cream shop in downtown. I had several meetings with them, and I generated a bunch of reports to show them how lucrative it would be for them to come downtown and that we would refer a ton of business to them because we're desperate to have them here. So I actually came in on a weekend for that one. And so did Debbie. Debbie Ponte and I both met with them. So here you can see that Not everybody that comes into the visitor center signs our guest book, and we collect our data from those guest book sign-ins. So about 16.5% of our visitors opted to sign the guest book. And from that data set, 12.5% were international and 87.5% were domestic visitors. So we served 14,696 visitors in the 2016-17 fiscal year, and 947 of those, which were 6.4%, opted into our VIP program. That's really an important number there, because people that opt into our VIP program, they provide their email address to us, and so we take those and we add them into our email marketing campaigns. They also get a free VIP discount card that takes them all around the county to businesses that have signed up to give discounts, and that's a free service that we offer to all of the businesses that sign up for it in Calaveras, which obviously includes Angels Camp as well. So it's an incentive. It's an incentive program to incentivize people to visit, especially out of the way areas. But it's open to anybody. So we are constantly being told that we're the friendliest, most wonderful visitor center anybody's ever been to. Just come and hang out for a day and you'll hear it most likely. I'm very proud of that. I think we have excellent customer service in the visitor center. We always go above and beyond. We don't limit anybody's time to talk to visitors as they come in. We give them a truly individualized experience. And we always consider ourselves the first face of Calaveras, of Angels Camp. When people walk in, we want to make a really excellent impression. So obviously, it's important to us that we have good visitation throughout the year. And what you can see on that top red line right there for 2016, and I apologize for these all being very similar colors, but that shows that our shoulder seasons have expanded so that we actually have a much longer season now. So our season really takes off in the spring and continues through the summer and just dwindles very slowly through the winter. And that's because people are visiting Bear Valley. So one thing I want you to realize about all that we do here is that by marketing the county as a whole, it benefits Angels Camp, because those people who are coming through are not interested in just limiting themselves to what's here locally, and very often they're based here, which means that they bring those important TOT taxes here. We encourage them to do a lot locally here in Angels Camp, but we also serve them throughout the county for their entire trip. And very often they'll stay longer. We'll help them to add additional nights to their room, because we're showing them there are more assets in Calaveras County than they were aware of. So this is about the Calaveras Experience Guide right here at the top piece. So we print and distribute 80,000 of these Calaveras Experience Guides. You might notice that we have those historic walk tour maps in the back. So we partnered with the Angels Camp Business Association. So that was the first organization that we partnered with. I just thought, how simple would it be for us just to put that walking tour guide into the experience guide, and that would save the Angels Camp Business Association all of the money of printing and distributing those. And we were always running out of them, and they were so popular. So we decided we take on that expense. The first year, the Angels Camp Business Association, I think, I'm not sure actually, they might have contributed a little bit to it, but since then it's been completely free. So now, I'm hoping, and I hope this is the case, that people here locally in Angels Camp will also distribute our experience guides locally as well, because it has their historic walk tour map in the back. So it's kind of a win-win for both groups. And since we've started with the Angels Camp, we also have now added San Andreas, Murphys, and McCollum Hills. So we've eliminated those costs for all of those communities to be printing up their historic walk tour map. We've actually given a lot more value to the experience guide for all those people interested in history, which is a huge number of people who come through here, and made it a much more interesting experience guide for visitors. So we distribute this all over the place. We have a contract with Certified Folder Display. We distribute to the Northern California Summer Sports Programs, so places like REI and Sport Chalet. They get these guides in their stores. San Jose corporate offices, so places like Google and Intel, they have these in their HR department to encourage their employees to come and visit. San Jose, let's see, Oakland and San Jose airports. We picked those two airports because they tend to be visitor airports. We couldn't afford to do San Francisco, but these, the other airports in the area like Oakland and Sacramento tend to be more business travel, and so we wanted to tap into that tourism industry, so this is why we chose these two. And then the California Welcome Centers, which are up and down California. So we also distribute them at travel and trade shows. We do the 3 best performing trade shows. Actually, 2 of them are the top in the United States, which is the Bay Area Travel and Adventure Show and the LA Travel and Adventure Show. We also do Sunset Celebrations Weekend. The Bay Area Travel Show and LA Travel Show, those are both consumer shows. So you've got people who are interested in travel that come to those shows. And we always do a sweepstakes when we're there, so we collect email addresses and we add those to our constant contact lists as well, which we have 10,000 people signed up to receive our emails, and we send those out, and we also, you know, of course, make those same posts on Facebook. So we get about, for that fiscal year, this last fiscal year, we received 909 requests from our website to receive the guide. We give out over 9,000 from the visitor center every year for those visitors coming in. We do print advertising. So when we do print advertising, we only advertise with print, which will provide a reader service card, which makes people request information or gives them the opportunity to request additional information when they've read a story or saw an ad that they were interested in. So we get leads from them. So these are the leads that we received. We received 1,077 from Sunset Magazine's advertising. Via Magazine was 1,140, and the state visitor guide was 497. And so we mailed those out to all of those requests. So I already mentioned that we attended 3 consumer trade shows. By the way, the Sunset Celebrations show is also a consumer travel show, and it's only available if you advertise in Sunset Magazine. But the great opportunity for us is that the Sunset show is basically the physical embodiment of the magazine. So it's people that are interested in travel, in wine, in food, and we have all of those amazing assets here. So it's a great one for us. Let's see, so we have those contracts. We also produce and publish the annual Calaveras Holiday Shopping Guide. We put that online, so that's available for people to use. We take all of the top shopping spots, the most fun places for people to shop for Christmas and for the holidays. And we put it all together in a guide, and we distribute those, and we have them on hand in the visitor center, and of course we have them online as well, and then we blog about that, and then we post those blogs online. And we have, there's like a section for each of the big shopping areas of Calaveras, and of course Angels Camp is one of those. We do radio advertising with Capital Public Radio. We tend to focus on events and recreation on those. So whatever big events and recreation are coming up, seasonally, it's seasonal recreation, and then whatever the big events are. So we have that. That's an annual advertising contract with Capital Public Radio. We also did print advertising this last year with our Gold Country partners. We did the Visit California Guide, which we do every year, and we also did a co-op advertorial in the San Francisco Chronicle. So we also do ongoing Facebook advertising featuring Calaveras as a Four Seasons destination. So here are some stats on our website. Our website has exceptionally good visitation. Just FYI, our funding is less than half Tuolumne's, and our web stats are double theirs. And I should also say that that's also the case for our Facebook likes. We have 40,000 now, and they have half that. So we're really overperforming for the budget that we get. So for this last year, we had 222,584 sessions. That's unique sessions. 587,373 page views. So that's how many pages people looked at on the website. That was a 6.3% increase over the previous fiscal year. This year is going to go up dramatically because we have a mobile responsive site that just launched on Friday, and not having a mobile response site, you're penalized by Google. And since I launched it on Friday, I've been looking at the stats and they're just going crazy. So I'm really, really delighted, and I really want to show you that. So I hope I can. So where do people come from? They come from the United States, and then the next highest referrer was Spain, then UK, then Australia and Canada. That was for the last fiscal year. Of course, these change very slightly year over year. States of origin, the top referring state, of course, is California, then Massachusetts, then Texas, Nevada, and Washington. So these are the pages that people come onto our website. These are the top ones. Obviously, there's like 600 pages on the website, but these are the ones that have had the most visitors. Natural British Hike, the calendar of events, Caves and Caverns, Frog Jump, and Calaveras Big Trees. Those are the big top hitting pages. Our web visitors have been trending male heavy. Female is 40.5 and male is 59.5. And then here's a graph at the bottom that shows the average range. So the largest group is 35 to 44-year-olds, which is quite a nice young group. We did, in this last fiscal year, switch up our advertising to try and attract a younger crowd, because we know we have to develop a following for people who are younger, because if we go for the older crowd, which has been a really easy market for us, then eventually they're not going to be available. So we have to go younger. So when I go to these destination marketing conferences, it's really drilled into us that content is king for websites, for driving visitors to our website, and we've really taken that on board. We provide blogs every year, and we published 34 in this last fiscal year. This fiscal year, we're intending on increasing that. So what's the point of having a blog? So we blog to inspire visitation to the county and city for the benefit of the local economy and our tourism businesses. This also helps to demonstrate that we're the experts in the field, so people come to us first, because we have the most up-to-date and comprehensive information, so it's really important that they come to us first. And that also obviously drives more web visits as we get higher rankings. So another benefit of our blog is that this content is available for everybody to use. So if you want to brag about something that we've written about, share it. That's really important. So this is completely available to you. We're not working in a vacuum here, and we do have businesses and organizations that share our content, and that benefits both them and us, because they don't have to generate it. We've already written the article. It's already there. It's already available for them. And then it's really important to us to be able to help visitors discover those hidden gems. Finding something that's unique and different is very popular with people. It also helps us to drive people to areas of the county that tend to be underserved by tourism. There are multiple benefits to that. Of course, one of them is cutting down on the traffic in the more highly touristed areas, and also improving the economy in those outlying places. So when we write a blog, we don't just write a blog. We also always leverage that content. So we also email to our 10,000 newsletter subscribers. We also share those stories on Facebook, and we boost them too, and they're always linked back to the website. So we do everything we can to leverage and add value to everything we do. So social media, we really went especially strong on social media this year. We made huge strides. We had a focus on user-generated content, which means that we set up a very robust Instagram account so that we could then take all of that user-generated content and reshare it across our social media platforms. And that not only provides a lot more content than would be available to us otherwise. It also brings more followers because people like their information to be shared. So you'll see that we had, in this last fiscal year, a 53% increase in our Facebook fans. At this point, we're at 40,200 and something, but when this report was generated, it was 38,440. That is an amazing amount for a small rural county. You just go online, check it out. Don't take my word for it. Our Instagram, we really kind of premiered that this year, so we did really well. I mean, we were up to nearly 3,000 just in our first year of heavily working on that. That was a 203% increase in Instagram fans. Instagram is always a lot slower, by the way. It's not. Facebook is the #1 social media platform on the planet, and so it makes sense for us to invest more time and energy in that because it has a higher return. It's also really important, though, to have a good and robust Instagram presence because that does help us to use that user-generated content, which is so important. And then our Twitter feed generated a 15% increase this year. So we don't have any choice about what people love on our Facebook posts. But so the top story was the iconic Sequoia tunnel tree brought down by California storms. The reach, so we have 38,440. At the point that this Facebook post was shared, the number of Facebook fans we had would have been lower than that, maybe 32,000. But it just shows the reach that you can have on a top-performing story. 147,239 people received that content, and we had 7,140 comments and shares. So what we did with that was we encouraged people to share their personal connection with that tree, and we had them post pictures of themselves with that tree. So we took a potentially negative story and we made it really positive, and people really enjoyed sharing their memories of the tree. So we also, by the way, during the Butte Fire, we did the same thing. So we did a lot of posts about the firefighters and how amazing they were and how thankful the community was and the community spirit, and we had huge engagement during the Butte Fire as well because of that. And people really wanted an outlet to share their stress and their thanks to the fire service and to thank you, everybody. But anyway, the next top performing one was the virtual tour of the Arnold Rim Trail. That was actually a shared video. The reach was 184,000, so it was even higher, but the reaction, comments, and shares were 3,755. And there was a story that was written about Murphy's called The Little Town in Northern California. We were always getting these stories that just perform really well on Murphy's, but this one was pretty high. The reach was over 65,000, and the shares were nearly 4,000. We had some well-performing Angels Camp stuff too as well, but not at the top level like that. So we don't work in a vacuum. You might not know that that we are actually a partner with Visit California, the state's destination marketing organization, and so we're in constant communication with them. They send out story ideas they want submissions on. We submit story ideas. We generate interest in their social media programs and get coverage out here. We get familiarization tours. That's when they send out travel writers, journalists, influential online bloggers, digital influencers to come out to Calaveras County, and we host those. So every request that Visit California ever has, we respond to. We pay attention to what they're doing, especially on the social media platforms, and we make sure to engage with that and to make suggestions. So we have had some good coverage, especially when you consider that we're just a small rural county, and a lot of their attention is on the much larger assets that California has for tourism. That we've managed to snag their attention for some of these top things here. So Visit California set up these these rural destination marketing areas. Actually, all of California is divided into regional marketing areas. And we actually, in Calaveras County, fall into 2 of those, which gives us double benefit with our partnerships. So we fall in the Gold Country and High Sierra regions. So all of Calaveras County from Arnold west is Gold Country, and from Arnold east, it's High Sierra. So that means that we partner with the High Sierra Visitors Council and the Gold Country Visitors Association. These are both regional marketing organizations or districts set up by Visit California. We enter into contract with Visit California for up to $60,000 to market these regions as a distinct region. And so we do that every year. We make sure to invest as a group, all of the counties that are included in those regional marketing districts. We come up as we're on a board. Every destination marketing organization from each of those counties meets. We meet usually once a month or once every 2 months, and we set up our fulfillment for the contract with Visit California every year. We dovetail into their marketing programs, and then we receive that $60,000 value. So here's what we did with those dollars for GCVA this last fiscal year. We got marketing representation at International Powwow. That's the largest international travel marketplace and generator of travel to the United States that takes place in the United States. So any one of the directors of the DMOs can attend that. I haven't attended it. Somebody else has, but they're very familiar with what we have, what tourism assets we have here. And so they represented us at that. And by the way, it rotates through, so I have attended in the past. So I'll get to do it again and then heavily represent what we have and, peripherally represent, no, I'm just kidding. I definitely represent the whole Gold Country. Glad you appreciate my humor. So what else do we do? So marketing, we also have marketing representation in the same way at Visit California Media Reception. That's where they bring all the top media, like the New York Times and Budget Travel Magazine and anything you can think of that might cover travel. They bring everybody together for a market media reception, and each of these regional districts can to be represented there. And so we're always represented there. This year we did a co-op article in San Francisco Chronicle on Gold Country wine weddings and outdoor recreation. So each of the counties that was involved in that story, we all contributed dollars to it. We all contributed story ideas, and this time we actually got to approve what went in there. So sometimes these journalists will come out and they'll just cover whatever they want, and we don't get any choice. But this time we got to give them some direction on that. Let's see, so we did itinerary development and fan tours. So we develop itineraries. Obviously, we have our own itineraries for Calaveras County, but we also develop itineraries for people traveling throughout the Gold Country. We do get a lot of visitors coming to and from Yosemite, and people traveling further in the Gold Country up to Marshall Gold Discovery State Historic Park. That's very popular. And so developing these itineraries that brings them through the Gold Country is really beneficial. And Angels Camp is always really popular because people love the frog. So they love the frog jumping history. They love the cute little town. The frog plaques are a big hit too. So we also contracted with New Professional Photography. Each of the counties got to pick out several places to highlight, and we actually hosted her. I went out with her and took the photography as well. But as I said, I really didn't have to for Angels Camp because I already have been at all of these events and taking pictures of the local businesses as well, so that I can get them up on the website and have them for social media marketing. So I have to say, as a professional photographer, she's slightly better than I am, but I still have taken some, obviously a little bit more better than slightly better, but I've still taken some good pictures. Photography is one of my passions, so I do quite a bit of it. And actually on the new website, you can see a lot of my photography. So these are the marketing partnership results for that other tourism district that we are a member of, which is the High Sierra Visitors Council. So we have marketing representation at Visit California France. France is one of our top international markets, and so we have to, as part of the contract with California, we have to do some international stuff. That's why we did the international powwow with the Gold Country Visitors Association, and here we're doing the Visit California France. So the High Sierra Visitors Council brochure, as I mentioned, it's Arnold East, that's considered High Sierra in Calaveras County, and this year, and then a reprinted brochure, one of those professional photos, which is that one right there, I think, is what is going to be on the High Sierra Visitors Council brochure. So that's on the front. Let's see. We are definitely being considered now, since I did this presentation. They are now definitely going to be included, including the High Sierra region of Calaveras County in a California 360 video. So one of the things that we did this last year was we got a rural regions short 90-second video done by Time Inc., which was sponsored by Visit California. So we have that done in the Gold Country region, and now for High Sierra they're doing 360 video. And we also get representation at Visit California sales missions and trade shows. Visit California does sales missions all over the world. They do them in Mexico, in Canada, in China, in Australia, in Britain, Germany, and France. And so we get representation at those as well through our membership with the High Sierra Visitors Council. And then the HSVC is also redesigning their website this year, so we'll get to populate it with more information than was on there previously. So farm tours, as I mentioned before, that's when we host people to come out to Calaveras. What we like to say is that Calaveras sells itself better than anybody else possibly could if we can just get them here. And so usually these are referrals from Visit California. So these are top performing journalists, social media bloggers, travel agents. So the one that has Angels Camp component was Jason Scott Deegan, because he was writing for Golf Advisor magazine, and we included Greenhorn Creek in there. He did a really good job sharing his stuff. So what resulted from that was 2 articles, 2 videos, 12 tweets, and 4 Instagram posts. So for each of these, you can read, what the outcome was. And we didn't invest any dollars in this. We had our local businesses, whoever was going to be featured in it, provide their service for free. And that's one way that we save money. And it works really well. So public relations, this is just what we've done for the CVB. We're not in the market of marketing the Calaveras Visitors Bureau because we're not important to the tourist. I mean, when they come in, we can provide a concierge service, but we're destination marketing. That's what we do. So we don't do a lot of public relations about us, but we do newsletters for our membership, so we let them know what's up, what's going on. I would like to be able to give more presentations here at City Council so that maybe I could do them quarterly, so we wouldn't have to go through an entire year. It would be quicker, and you would get more up-to-date information. But also, an important public relations piece that we do is we send out visitor newsletters, and that's where we encourage people and hopefully inspire them to come out and visit. We did 14 of those this year. Our open rate for our newsletters is above the industry standard. I think the industry standard is about 17 or 18%. So. The interviews, these are just on the Calaveras Visitors Bureau. They're not interviews that we did on tourism to Calaveras. So that's what those are right there. Well, this one's been a long time coming. I don't know has anybody ever been to the Capitol, the state Capitol, and seen the windows? So each, Larry has. So each Each county in California has a window to represent them, and we've been working on this for a couple of years. We finally got it finished, so you'll hopefully be delighted to know that we heavily featured Angels Camp in the Capitol window. That was a $15,000, well, no, wait a second, I think it was a $12,000 investment. So it actually includes information about all of Calaveras County, but we featured Mark Twain and the frog story because that always resonates so well with everybody, and that's what Calaveras County is best known for. So we actually have a little bit of a fix-up to do on this, but we have the only, as far as I know, and that certainly was the case when I was last there, the only window that has an interactive component. It's not really interactive exactly, but what it is we encourage people to count the number of frogs that are in the display and then email us and let us know how many frogs there are, and if they get it right, they get a prize. Loads of school kids go there, and all the others are just informational. There's nothing for them to do, so we're expecting this, and this has just been done like a month or two ago. So. Oh, and ours is right opposite the governor's office, which is prime location. So obviously the Calaveras Visitors Bureau, we're very concerned about the success of sustainable tourism and the economic health and vitality of the county and the city. And so we're involved in some of these organizations locally. We're involved in a newly formed group called Accelerating Business in Calaveras. It includes the Chamber of Commerce, Destination Angels Camp Business Association, the Business Resource Center, Central Sierra Economic Development, Small Business Development Center, San Joaquin Delta College, and the Valley Sierra Small Business Development Center. And the purpose of this group is to bring together all of these organizations to take their knowledge and expertise and provide it free or at low cost to local businesses. So we've already started using it. When we've seen that businesses have started to struggle a little bit in Angels Camp, we contact them immediately and let them know about these resources that are available. I've been with Destination Angels Camp since before it was Destination Angels Camp. I was there right at the beginning and really on board with the whole concept. I'm still on the board for Destination Angels Camp. I've worked with the Angels Camp Business Association, with the Angels Camp Commemorative Committee, helping to develop and market the Mark Twain Wild West Fest. I've done that right from the outset as well. There's also another group that we're involved with recently. It's called the Active Transportation Group. We're working to improve the mobility around the county with bike trails, hiking trails, bus routes. And what we're looking at is a problem with mobility for locals and visitors. So where it affects tourism with locals for us is when entry-level hospitality workers aren't able to get to their employer to where they work because there isn't ample public transportation for them. Some of these entry-level workers are just out of high school and they tend not to have reliable vehicles, so having adequate public transportation is really important for sustainability of tourism in Calaveras County. One of my staff has car problems at the moment, and she's taking transportation, and so we're doing a little test on how well it's working for her. She's having to get to the office at 6:30 in the morning, so I told her that she could leave at 2:30. So that just goes to show that the transportation system is not where it needs to be, and we all know that, but that's something that we're actively working on. We also do social media consultations. Obviously, we're a destination marketing organization. Our expertise is in marketing, and so anybody that ever wants any input on how to market their business, we're always there for them, and we make it clear that we're available to offer that service for free. We also provide that information on little updates in our newsletters, free tips and tricks for people, but we're there for more than that, and we want to actually put on, as part of the ABC group, the Accelerating Business, to do a free social media workshop for the benefit of local businesses. Or we plan on doing that. I don't mean that we just want to. So I was hoping that I could show you the new website live, but it's not displaying properly here for some weird reason. It seems to be, it's doing fine everywhere else. This is what we just launched. I just launched this on Friday. This is the splash page. Obviously, it doesn't have the text at the top. But you'll notice that at the top of the fold, we have 4 featured destinations. Those 4 destinations rotate through. Further down the page, the home page, there is a rotation through the rest of the towns and areas that are on the website. But each of these functions like a mini site. So if you click on Angels Camp, so the top right over there, that is the Angels Camp page. It gives you an overview of everything that Angels Camp is best known for. We've also included on there if they want to open a business in Angels Camp, that to contact Destination Angels Camp to find out more about Angels Camp through the City Council website, and we have a real estate agent on there as well. So each destination has one of these overview pages, but it also has a whole complete page on top attractions, top outdoor recreation, festivals and events, history and culture, and weather. And then beyond that, there are individual business listings that are categorized by the kind of business that they are. And just FYI, that got shrunk up. Sorry about that. One of the really cool things that we did this year on this new website that we weren't able to do before was, so there's an events category. So if you click on events, it shows you all of the individual annual events that occur in each of these destinations. So for Angels Camp, it would just be all of the Angels Camp annual events. And there's a full write-up on them and links to their sites and all that stuff. So each of the business listings, this one shows Crisco's, and I'm sorry that the picture got shrunk somehow. But we have obviously implemented search engine optimization on all of these posts so that they show up really well in the search engines. We've done a custom engaging write-up of unlimited length, and in fact we prefer a length of 300 words or more. The purpose of these business listings is many of our small businesses, restaurants and retail especially, don't tend to have their own individual websites. They might sometimes have a Facebook page, but they don't have comprehensive information on their business. And so we've developed that for them. So I would love it if you, and by the way, this is fully responsive, so get on your cell phone, go to gocalaveras.com, take a look. I think you'll like it. We also have included on there, because research shows that people like to know how well rated all of these businesses are. So we've rated them based on an average of their Facebook, Yelp, and TripAdvisor ratings. And if we think they're better than those ratings, we've pushed them up a little bit, because sometimes you get those crummy customers who just find fault with everything, and we know those businesses really well. So we've just fudged it very slightly in the positive for businesses that we know are really good. It's I don't want to say that that we're not accurate. I feel like it's very accurate. We've also included all of their business contact information, direct links to their website, email, even the phone number is linked. So now we'll be able to see people that click on that number and call that business. We'll see that through our web stats with Google Analytics. Let's see, all of the review pages, so we have links actually to those TripAdvisor and Yelp and Facebook pages. We also have the hours of operation, we have the cost if that's appropriate. We also have this, we have these specialized links at the top that show if they're dog-friendly, kid-friendly, if they have free Wi-Fi, if they do weddings there, what are the other ones? If they have electric car hookups, and there might be one other. But when you click on those links, there is a page that talks about each of those. So for the kid-friendly, you click on that kid-friendly icon, it tells you what it means, and then there's a list of all these great things that are the top things to do with your kids. And same with dogs, and same with weddings. So Have also added within that full write-up links to other or related businesses, other articles that we've written before, any blog that they've been included in. And then at the bottom, which you can't see, you can see it, so there's social media share buttons. So that means that you can share that business right directly to your social media. And then on the far right, that blue column, that's a live feed of our Facebook and Instagram feed, so that people can see what we're writing about right now. So one of the things that we've been concerned about, we actually started a new initiative called the Tourism Task Force, because we started to see that there were some areas in tourism in Calaveras County, including Angels Camp, that are going to impact the potential for sustainable tourism in the future. So one of the things that we're concerned about is when people come to visit and they trash our environment. So we have talked about what kinds of things we can do for this, and the main thing we think is that it's a matter of ignorance, that people just don't realize, and they just leave and it just goes out of their mind. So every article that we've written and every listing that we have that has to do with our environment, so if it's hiking at New Maloney's, if it's going to Calaveras Big Tree State Park, every single one of those articles and every write-up that we have that includes wilderness and park and outdoor recreation, we include a Hop Lightly link in it. That's the name of our program for Leave No Trace principles. And so there's a whole write-up on it here. We've included all of our recommendations for how to behave in a Hop Lightly manner, and we've divided it between Hop Lightly in parks and Hop Lightly in wilderness. And then, of course, I already mentioned the kid-friendly, dog-friendly weddings. Oh, and Calaveras Foodie. So, objectively, the CVB delivers outstanding marketing for the funding received. Money is saved by the county and city on destination marketing because of the substantial amount of work we do in-house. This fiscal year, in-house work has contributed tens of thousands of dollars worth of website development, and that website we just launched, that would be easily valued $35,000 to $40,000. We did it all in-house. Professional standard photography, which we also do, advertising, design, and travel blogs. Our social media marketing results are highly impressive. I would urge you to compare our results to any destination marketing organization, and you'll be astonished at our success, especially given our very limited funding. The funding of the CVB is an investment in tourism that returns dividends and TOT dollars, local taxes, local jobs, and provides vital support to local businesses. And then we have a 9-member board. The last fiscal year, this was the makeup of the board. Just FYI, we like to try and represent every industry sector and every region of Calaveras. So this year we had Shelby French from the Wine Grape Alliance, and she represented wine, obviously. Lisa Schwartz, who represented retail and restaurant. She's Gold Country Roasters and Murphy's. Daniel Gerhardt, she represented Arnold. She's actually the marketing director for California State Parks. And the industry sector, of course, that she represents is recreation and attraction. Michelle Griffith, owner of Griff's Barbecue and Grill. Industry sector is restaurant, and the region is Copperopolis that she represents. Heather Ginn from Cave and Mine Adventures, industry sector, recreation, attraction, and actually retail as well. And the regions are Vallecito and Mountain Ranch. Mary Jane Ginocchio, you probably know Mary Jane from the Calaveras Arts Council. She represented arts and entertainment, and her region was McCallum Hill. Sarah Lunsford, who's an independent journalist who writes for the Sierra Lodestar. She represented news media and the entire county. And then Betsy Utley, who's the general manager of Worldmark by Wyndham, she represented the Angels Camp region and lodging. and Gretel Allen Tuscornia from Pickle Patch Deli represented San Andreas and restaurant and catering. So you can see that's really a good coverage of the entire county and every tourism sector. So I just want to reiterate that our team is small, but mighty, and I'm the only full-time employee, but I have an outstanding team. Sandy Price is our office manager. She works 3 days a week. She does all of the financials. And by the way, we don't just do our own financials. We also have outsourced the regular accounting to Tribble and Ayala, and we also have auditing done every other year, a full audit done by Wheeler and Egger, and then every other year we have a financial review done by them as well. Cadence Eaton is our social media manager that we just hired at the end of this in May 2017. Well, actually, we hired her on initially to do visitor services when people come into the visitor center, but she was so amazing at social media marketing. She started to become an amazing expert. She started to do a ton of research. She is now the most knowledgeable person I've seen anywhere on social media marketing, so we upped her time and we brought her on as our social media manager. And then we hired on Caitlin Linker as our visitor services person to take the place of what Cadence was doing so she could devote her time fully to social media marketing. And Caitlin's been amazing. She's pretty young. She was born here locally. She has fantastic customer service, and we've just been so lucky to get her. Nola Raspberry does visitor services for us too. She's amazing. And Judy Postman, who was working for us before she moved to Washington State, she now does 10 hours per week just on managing our calendar. So if you ever want to know what's going on in Calaveras, we have the most comprehensive calendar. I would really love it if you would, so this is the end of my presentation. I would really love it if you would take a look at our website. And I absolutely want feedback from everybody on it. Any suggestion you have, anything you think should be included in there that isn't. I want to make sure that our website is the very best it can possibly be, and that it makes you all very proud of Calaveras County and the City of Angels Camp. Are there any questions? Do you have time for questions?
I have a couple questions, actually. This year, why were we not featured at the state fair?
We decided to drop out of the state fair because it was a very large financial commitment. It cost us $15,000 a year to do that. And in my first year with the Calaveras Visitors Bureau, we did a test on the marketing effectiveness. So what we did was the VIP program that I told you about earlier. We took VIP activation cards. We gave out thousands of them at the booth. They gave significant discounts to all kinds of recreation, lodging, restaurants, fun activities. Anybody that didn't use it would be crazy. We gave thousands of those out. We got 7 people actually redeem them. So not only that, but when we take a look at the demographics of the people that attend the state fair, they're not necessarily the kind of people or with the kinds of interests that would be interested in a rural area like this. And there's obviously going to be a small overlay, but for people that like big events that are very exciting, and we're a rural area and we have amazing outdoor recreation, we have kind of a really different demographic from the demographic that tends to attend the state fair. So looking at it from the very outset, I was skeptical that it was going to be a good return on investment. And then when we implemented the VIP test and saw that we got 7 responses from thousands given out, that was kind of a good indicator that $15,000 plus a lot of time and energy, because I would end up having to do a lot of that design as well and drive up and back from to the state fair over and over and over again. And then the other thing that was curious is that we had managed to actually get a very diminished price on our booth compared to other counties, but that meant that our booth builder was fairly unresponsive. So we would go in, and we would have a meeting with him. We'd come up with all these amazing ideas that were going to engage people more in the presentation or of the booth. And then when it actually came time to implement it, most, if not all of those things tended to be missing. So, and he's the booth builder that builds the majority of booths out there. So if we'd been willing to invest $50,000 in it, we could have got something more along the lines of what we were looking for. But on the other hand, we weren't seeing a response on that, so that's the reason we dropped it. And I actually talked to the Board of Supervisors about it ahead of time, because I realized that it could potentially be a very disappointing thing for people locally, because I think it's a local pride kind of thing to be able to go and see Calaveras represented, and I realized that there would be some local disappointment. But when I looked at our mission statement, I didn't seem to be jiving very well with our mission statement to be promoting the county and bringing in those visitors. So that was the reason.
And then a second question. So with all the social media going on, does Angels Camp have an official hashtag?
Does Angels Camp have an official hashtag? We use Angels Camp as a hashtag all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go...
The official, there's nothing else other than just Angels?
There wouldn't be any... The best thing to do with a hashtag is use what's most... so if we're searching for specific things on social media, and we want to, use those... Instagram, for instance, and we want to use that information in something that we're pushing out, we'll look at hashtags like frog jump. So we do kind of a comprehensive trawling of all of those hashtags when it comes time to do a story about it, so that we make sure to bring in that user-generated content. But overall, we do have a hashtag for Calaveras, which is Loving Calaveras, because Angels Camp is part of Calaveras. So that's our official hashtag for us. But we also look at all of the hashtags that are pertinent to what's going on in the county. And we use those as well. So we'll hashtag Angels Camp when we have things that are happening in Angels Camp.
I was just going to say something that was really strange. On Friday, I decided I would go into the Go Calaveras. I've done it before, but I was kind of researching what's, how's Angels Camp, reviewing. And it was the day you launched, and I went, oh my gosh, what's this side? This isn't the side it isn't what I'm used to. It was on my phone, and so I wasn't able to. There's so much. I mean, I went to MOC. I looked at all of the various ones, and didn't get to do the business listing details, so I had to go back and do that. And I did the history. I mean, there was so much there that I really, couldn't take the time to do the whole thing, but it was great. And so I went back again recently and did a little bit more, and I probably will have a few suggestions in relation to Angels Camp, but I was really impressed. I mean, how Angels Camp was presented. It was very positive and strong, and but all the cities were, and I thought that was excellent. I really think it's an excellent job you guys did.
Thank you. That's been my baby for the last year and a half. I've been doing that in between everything else.
Right.
So I couldn't wait to get it up, and I'm proud of it, but websites are a work in progress. And by the way, since you looked at it, I did a lot of optimizing so that it would load a lot faster as well.
Okay.
So now I've been running all these tests on how fast it loads, and it loads faster than Visit California's website. So I'm very happy. It's not, it's not perfect, but it's very fun, and
very
I
good.
definitely want more information from everybody. I want it to be just the way that you would like to see it.
Yeah, it's excellent. I was so
Thank you.
impressed. Yeah, one of the best ones I've been to, really, especially for finding information about an area and tourism. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments? Thank you very much, Lisa. That was quite detailed.
You're very welcome. I'm sorry it's so detailed. I would, if I...
You guys do an awful lot of good work, and I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
You do.
I would like to mention I'm worried about, receiving lesson funding for Angels Camp, especially since Tuolumne is now has $1 million to market Tuolumne, and they might well pull some business from us. That worries me a little bit. The other thing is, in the most recent proposal from the city, what's being asked for is basically is it 40, it's 40% of our funding. That means that we're going to have to cut back on a lot of the stuff that we're doing currently. It's 20% for that we already offered, which we thought was very generous, and then requested to also spend $20,000 specifically on marketing Angels Camp events, which I feel like we do a lot of marketing of Angels Camp events already, and we're so successful in what we're doing currently that I would want us to not move too much in a direction of doing something that isn't going to benefit the entire Angels Camp as opposed to just a couple of events. So I love the events, but how much sense does it make to invest all of that money in those things compared to the destination marketing that we're doing that benefits the much wider business community? So I just had to say that. I don't want to be negative, but it does concern me, because the more you invest in tourism, you get so much more back. Cutting it back it's meaning that we're going to have to cut back some of these things.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. I think we're ready to move on to calendar. Susan?
Thank you, Lisa.
Tomorrow is a COG TAC meeting at 2 p.m. Thursday, the 17th, the DAC Executive Committee meeting has been canceled, but there is an 8:30 a.m. Museum Commission meeting. 6 p.m. Monday, the 21st for LAFCO. CVB meets at 8:30 on Tuesday, the 22nd. And UWPA at 5:30 on the 22nd. September 4th is a holiday, Labor Day, and the office will be closed. And September 5th, we'll be back here at 6 for council.
Susan? LAFCO's been canceled and the COG TAC has been canceled.
Oh, really?
Thank you.
After's canceled. Oh, okay.
Okay, with that, we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Where'd you go?